guys, it's Mia, and today I am going to show you a little DIY flower foam cardboard letter. That would be my dog scraping the glass window. I am so excited to make this craft. I have been wanting to make it for the past like 2 years. And I just haven't had the reason to. And so now that I am helping out with a friend's shower on Saturday, I figured I better get started. So I am going to film my method of making these flower letters, and hopefully it comes out nice and easy. So we'll see about that. I feel like I might have a little bit of a challenge, but I think that it'll be okay. So anyways, all that to say, just keep watching if you're interested in seeing how I make my DIY flower letters. So here I have my cardboard letters. These were purchased at Hobby Lobby. They are about 16 inches tall to give you a frame of reference. I chose the biggest size that they had just so that they could be a big statement piece and kind of like a centerpiece of a table. So this is the initials, or these are the initials of the bride and the groom. And I thought it would be so perfect for a wedding shower. So this is your first supply that you will need to purchase. Then next I have a bundle of some pretty little bouquets and different flowers. Just like the wreath, you also want to use the same concept of getting different colors, different textures, different sizes. These ones are a little more similar to one another than the ones that I used on my wreath. But I did want to make sure that I got a variety of different shades. So this I'm going for kind of a sunset color scheme. So I have my peach, orange, red, pink, and white. Well, I'm not sure how white fits in. Maybe the clouds, I don't know. Next I have this glue stick, hot gun, X-Acto knife, flower wire cutter, and some foam that we will stuff the letters with. I also got this additional sheet of foam, so I'm hoping that that will be enough to cut up and put inside of the letters, and we are going to stick the flowers into the letters. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. finished my DIY. It took me about 2 hours to do all 3 letters. The first letter that I made took me the longest just because it was my first time to make it. But after I did the first letter, I got the hang of it and kind of picked up the pace a little bit-ish. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a few behind the scenes tips, I guess, as far as what I learned from doing the craft that I didn't know beforehand. Number 1, the biggest struggle of this whole craft was the foam. Cutting it was challenging. I first started out with an X-Acto knife, but switched to one of my kitchen knives because the blade from the X-Acto knife wasn't long enough to cut through the foam. So if you find any foam that is already cut into blocks or whatever, I would recommend that. I didn't see any when I was at the craft store, but if there's any kind of shortcut as far as that to where you don't have to cut them from a huge foam block, that would definitely make this craft like a million times easier. So just be aware that foam part will be the most frustrating part because you're literally like sawing it in half with a kitchen knife. So just do whatever works for you. Yeah. Also, the letters were actually a lot easier than I thought they were going to be. I thought the foam and the letters were going to be equally as hard. Not the case, so that was a pleasant surprise. The letters, I was able to use the X-Acto knife. You saw in a clip just at the beginning of the video how I used 2 different methods. I would kind of punch a hole into that cardboard material and then kind of drag it and then punch it again and drag it. And then also you can just like trace over where you want to cut it and do it a few times until it cuts through all the way. The latter method is a little more precise, whereas when you're punching it through, you can kind of lose control of where you're going. So when I was punching it through, I would do it on like the straight edges, and then I would drag the line or whatever when I was going through a curved edge where I didn't want to mess up. Another tip for working with the cardboard material is just make sure that whenever you're holding it, you don't put too much weight on the top when you're holding it down, because you don't want it to fall apart or whatever. And then also be careful not to puncture the bottom part of the letter, because you want that back to stay put so that you can glue the foam to the back of that letter. So that was another thing. I found it pretty easy to knock the bottom of the, the back side of that letter whenever I was going in through the top. Something that I did in just a couple of spaces was tuck the flowers into the outline of the letter just to make the letter a little more defined. It's pretty easy to kind of lose the shape of the letter, especially depending on certain letters that you use. So if you need to do a little tweaking and shaping of the flowers, or even using different colors to highlight the different parts, that would be a good option. Once you get to the part where you are sticking the flowers into the foam, you are golden. That is like the easiest part ever. So like I said, if there was something that came already cut, like foam pieces or whatever, then this craft would take probably half the time. So anyway, just so you know, the foam part will take a little bit longer, but I think it's worth it for the end result, because you're gonna get something that's different and something that you can't really buy at the store. So as I was doing it, I kind of tried to think of ways around using the foam, and so I started poking holes in the top of the cardboard letter and punching the flower stem through that to see if it would work, because I was so desperate just to not have to use that foam. But the thing about that is that as soon as you flip the letter over, that flower stem will fall right back out the same hole, so that doesn't really work. And also, if you try to hot glue the flower directly on there, it's going to kind of stick up a little bit, because it's hard to get the base stem of that flower cut exactly flush to where the petals start, so it's kind of hard to glue that down a little bit. Doing it with the foam is an extra step, but it does allow you to have that letter border around the sides. And if you were just like sitting them on top of the entire letter or gluing them on top of the entire letter, then there would be no depth difference as far as letting those flowers kind of sink into the border of the letter and giving you a more defined letter shape. So that's that. So believe me, I did try to think of a few ways around the foam. I'm sure that you could do it that way and you would have a decent end result, but I think doing it with the foam and insetting the foam into the letters, you are getting a more defined letter shape. And if you skip that step, you might come out with something that looks more like a big blob of a flower rather than the actual letters, especially when you have shapes that have the small holes in them, as like what I used, the R and the B. Also would be true for like an A, so on, you know. So anyway, those are just a few helpful hints as far as what I kind of learned. I just wanted to give a couple extra tips, and it's hard to express all of that through just a video with just a little text or whatever telling you each step. So I wanted to give a little more in-depth of that because it is a bit more of a complicated craft, I guess you could say. Though I don't want to scare anybody away from doing this. If I can do it, you can do it. I do enjoy doing crafts, so that has to help a little bit. I'm super excited though to have these at the shower. They could stand up on a table, or I think I might actually hang them, put a ribbon around the top and then hang them up on the wall or something. I think it'll add just a fun pop of color that gives just a really like girly, feminine, but just really fun feel that is just kind of whimsical, you know? I'm excited to have those at the shower, but don't limit these just for a party or whatever. You can also put something like this just hanging up on your wall in your house. If you wanted to tone down the colors and do something more neutral, you can put it anywhere in any room, or you can do different colors matching the schemes of your different rooms throughout your house. So I think that this would be a fun craft to have. It just adds a whole bunch of color and really livens up a room, and it just gives a different texture than what you're getting from any of your other decorations. Anyway, all that to say, I hope you found this tutorial fun and inspiring, and I challenge you to try it yourself. It will be so much fun to have this flowery, fun piece of art in your home or at your next party. And if you did try it, let me know how it turned out for you. So once again, thank you for watching this video and for tuning into my channel. Make sure that you check back for other DIY videos, recipes, vlogs, craziness. All that to say, I hope that you're inspired and can go out and make something today. Bye.